Hi parents, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope there's enough lighting so you can see and hear me. But I just wanted to take a brief moment to create a video that will help you guys further understand what all your students will be learning in third grade math and science. Now, this is important because for third graders, this is the first introduction that your students will have and standardized testing, which is the end of grade test for math. And this is the grade level where they will become more of an independent learner and they will have to explain what they learned. The biggest concept for math in third grade will be multiplication and division. The state has set it up to where students only learn basically one or two big concepts in each grade level, so that it's not so much for your student, your learner, to focus on, and that way they can better grasp the concept of better understand just this one idea rather than a whole group of ideas and get them down packed. So we're going to get math and division down packed this year. In third grade, your children will learn how to solve problems and retell how they solved them. So if your student said that 2 times 3 equals 6, then they should be able to tell me how they got that. Now, what we will teach them as well is how to become better thinkers and how to use numbers, excuse me, to represent a specific amount for something. So if we're looking at dominoes, then I have 5 dominoes. The number represents the amount of dominoes that I have. If I have, a box of donuts, there's, what do you have, a dozen or do you have half a dozen? Dozen is 12, half a dozen is 6. So you use numbers to represent specific amounts for something. And then we will also be asking them, well, tell me, how did you come up with that answer? Why do you think it is that answer, or why does your classmate have the wrong answer? We'll be critiquing their thinking so that they can better explain and be able to apply the knowledge that, put into action what we've already given them. They can come to this conclusion by drawing it out. They can come to this conclusion by using manipulatives, which is a tool. This is also something that we'll be showing them. It's called modeling, which is basically using an object or a manipulative to show how you got your answer. So I have an example here. I'm going to draw it out on my dry erase board. So I'm going to use the example again, 2 times 3, which we know equals 6. And this is what we will be requesting the students. And I may ask them to use a dry erase board. So you see that 2 times 3 equals 6. But then at the bottom, I have 3 triangles 2 times, or I have 2 triangles in each row 3 times. If you count them all up, they equal 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a way of modeling for our students, for them to be able to do this, to show their work, whether it be homework or classwork or testing. Show your work of how you got the answer. If you can't draw it out like this, then you can use shapes, use pencils, use pens, use cupcakes, use little counting cubes or counting bars, rods we call them, counting rods to get their answers. Your students will also be able to use another tool called estimation, where you use the information that you have and come with a general conclusion. Okay, so say if I have 6 here and they've asked me for 6 more, I can guesstimate that it's probably going to be there's probably going to be around a certain number. We're also going to be teaching them how to use graph paper so that you can use it as to create a graph or to make squares, to count out squares and shapes. We'll also be teaching them about math language. Now that sounds difficult, but it's really not. It's more like multiplication, addition, subtraction, the dividend, the quote, the solution, what did you solve, How did you solve the answer? We're not looking just for numbers and times and divide, and those are important terms. But yes, to know other math terms will help them on the test, because the end of grade testing will definitely have more complex vocabulary as far as math language. They're also going to be expected to look for patterns. So let's use the example of 2 times 3 again. If they saw another problem on their test that looked like this, 3 times 2, would they catch that? You know, that would help them go faster through their test if they recognize that, okay, 2 times 3 equals 6, so 3 times 2, those are the same numbers. It should still equal 6. Can your student apply the knowledge and find patterns within their work? They're also going to look for the properties of operation. So do you know that multiplication and division come first in a problem? You know, these are the patterns and the shortcuts that we want them to be able to see and spot head on and say, hey, that's the same thing as what I just did, so let me use that answer, and it'll get them through the test a lot quicker. It won't waste as much time, and they'll have a better understanding of the words that they're going to be using. And so with that, they can apply better knowledge. We're also, what will help them, speed through calculation. So they'll definitely be learning how to multiply and divide up to 100. And so hopefully they can learn to see links in their calculations as well as in their work. As far as science is involved, for science, we will be studying the physical and the living world through observation, experiments, research, and they should be able to explain or show what they learned with hands-on, and create questions for us, thoughts, a hypothesis, believing, you know, what will happen if we do this, if we do certain scenarios. We're requiring them to think more. We will be focusing on, however, as far as concepts, we will be doing concepts such as force and motion and sound, which if you apply pressure to something, that it will change the direction or the speed, and that there are different speeds, and the earth has a gravitational pull. So how does the earth pull on different objects? A lot of science will be in small group as well as whole group. So we'll be doing a lot of hands-on events and experiments together, working together as a group and as a class. We'll also be covering the human body, plants and animal life cycles. So, and knowing the parts of a plant, as far as the roots, the stem, the leaves, pollination, you know, small things. We also about their human body, knowing the different parts of your body. You have your phalanges, your fingers, your feet, your toes, what they're all connected to, the joints, how they move and how they work together. Also with the plant life cycle, we'll be covering how plants provide for our environment and for our earth. They give us oxygen. They supply oxygen to our bodies. And we'll be covering magnetism and electricity, how rubbing things together can create friction, and you can transfer energy to different objects. We'll be talking about matter and property changes, how air takes up space and it has a mass. We'll be doing a lot of digital and technology research. So we'll be on the computer. We'll be watching videos. We'll be, going outside and exploring, and that'll research on the digital and the technology will be how we get our information, but we'll also be doing exploration. We'll be discovering the Earth and the universe. So the Earth has Earth and space. So the space has planets and they have stars, and they have, we live on Earth. Our planet is Earth, but there are other planets around us, and the planets around us, including us and the sun, was called a solar system. These are the things that we will be creating. We will be teaching your children. Sun, how the sun creates shadows, how shadows are created through the blocking of light. We'll also be talking about the Earth structure and how it is mostly water. And then we will be explaining what are these bodies of waters, how are they named, what are the organisms that live in these waters or different parts of the world, and the different features that are on Earth, such as mountains and streams and lakes and valleys, and what are the difference between them, and how are they represented on a map, you know, giving them basic science knowledge, basically, and exploration. So these are the things that we will be covering with your child this year on a basic scale. And they will even be having a chance to draw and map out, create their own maps, and knowing the scientific name for it. So if I were to teach your child or show them a small map of something, they should be able to explain what they are or where they are, what lives in that water. And so on and so on. But this will be the bulk of our year and of our learning. And so your children should be able to tell us these things in detail and explain them to you as well. And you can help your child, especially if you're profound in science or math, or these will be things that you can work on your children with. Small pictures, but this is my drawing for 3rd grade. You could do your own. All right, so thanks for staying tuned. If you have any more questions, please let me know. I will be glad to help you in any way that I can. Thanks. Here's to a great year.